finally, after many months, nearly a year actually, I'm doing a new video devlog for the development of DinoSystem. And this is not easy for me because I'm alone working on the game now. So doing the different things together for me is very difficult. Creating video, working on the game, writing stuff, social media, etc. So that's why I'm not very consistent in doing these devlogs every time I release an update. But today the update is very big. It's massive actually. So it's a good idea to make a video to show it. So let's start with the new features in this update and what's improved basically. I've added a new item in the game, the shovel, which allows to create paths, to excavate paths, and to expand pond beds to allow them to contain more water and to find water if there is no water on the bed. And I also made a lot of other improvements. One very requested feature was to be able to auto-repeat the search actions, the action where you get leaves, get branches, get stone, etc. So now you can just press Shift, hold Shift, and the action will be automatically repeated. So you don't need to every time click on the button, find stones, find leaves, etc. There are also a lot of other things. For example, now you can bury animal skeletons with the new item, the shovel. And there are a lot of bug fixes as well. For example, there was a very annoying bug in the previous version of the game that made some players stuck, that caused some players to get stuck, especially when pulling carcasses, carrions, which is very annoying, and not just in that occasion, but in different situations. There are also a lot of other fixes. There is really a massive amount of stuff in this update, little improvements, not very important additions like the digging skill and the shovel and the action related to the shovel, but a lot of other little tweaks and improvements and fixes that really improve the overall quality of the game. So let's start showing something about the new stuff here. As I said, there is a new item, the shovel, and you can craft it as you do normally with other stuff, with other items. Just right click on the character or press G and you can craft the shovel. And it is very easy to craft, just 2 branches and one big sharp stone, which is pretty easy to obtain, which has materials which are really easy to obtain. I'm really sorry for my accent. I'm not used to speaking English all the time, so it's really strange for me to speak in English. So here I have the shovel. Let's expand this. As you can see, there is already a path here. I made a path to connect my home here, my little house, to the beach, because I want to fish in this beach and I want to go faster. I want to be very fast when I go to the beach so I can easily reach it. Because now there is a penalty in different conditions. For example, if it rains, let's make it rain. Yeah? If it rains, the character is slower, as you can see. It's slightly slower in moving. But if I am on the path, I'm slightly faster because I don't have the penalty. Of course, the penalty is very small, is minimal because it's just raining. But if I reduce the temperature and make it snow, and if we wait that the snow covers the land, the terrain, as you can see, the character is very, very slow because there is snow. But if I walk on the path, it is faster. I can sprint very fast, nevertheless. So it is very useful to create a path. Also to find, to connect different areas of the island and find them easily. There is also the new map zones system, which allows you to name different zones of the map, but this is something I added in the previous updates, not in this one. So, to create a path, you need a shovel, of course, and just go to the craft building menu and create a path. You can rotate it with Q or E, and here it is. It's very easy. As I said, you can also bury skeletons, animal skeletons, and this action doesn't have anything special. There is no reward for this action. Actually, you don't get bones or anything, but you get a very good amount of digging skill for doing the action. So you get better at digging if you dig, like everything else in the game. So that's the purpose of doing this. Of course, many players will bury skeletons because they don't want skeletons to be close or inside their base. Also, keep in mind that paths will gradually fade away over time, especially if it rains. And the more you use them, the more you walk on them, the more they are preserved from fading away, basically. Another thing you can do with the shovel is to dig and expand water beds, pond beds. This is useful if it rains to allow the pond bed to contain more water, to be bigger, because as you can see, I'm expanding the bed, so the water inside can be more. It also occurs naturally in the game. When the water exceeds the bed grows very slowly. But you can do this artificially now with your character by digging. If there is no water in the bed, there is a small chance to find some water inside it, underground. And this chance is related to the new skill, the digging skill. The digging skills allows you to dig faster, to invest less effort in digging, and to have much more chances to find water when you dig inside the on a pond bed. About the auto search action. Now, as I said in the preview, you can just keep pressed the sprint key, which is by default shift, to continue searching without repeating the click on button, etc. And which is really useful because many players asked for it, and I always wanted to add it, but I never actually put the effort into it. But now finally I've added it. Also, but this is something I added in the previous update, you can carry more things, more stuff in one hand. You can hold many branches, for example, with one hand, or you can, for example, you can hold a stone, a leaf with the left hand, because previously the left hand was used just to hold and use weapons. Now it is used also to hold other items as well. Both hands are used for holding many items, but only the left hand is used to attack, because if I attack while I'm holding something, I will automatically drop that item if it's not a weapon. There are some improvements in the character, in some character mechanics. For example, the health regen here is now affected much more consistently by the hydration and calories. For example, if there are no calories because you are starving, or no hydration because you are dehydrated, totally dehydrated, the regen system will not increase the health. It previously already decreased when you were dehydrated or starving, but now the formula uses scales 100% with these values, so it will not increase at all. And everything else has been rebalanced. For example, the regen system has been rebalanced to be more to take more time, but also to take more time to decrease if you are starving or dehydrated or in other condition. Also, the stamina bar has been improved. When you sleep, it takes more time to regen, to increase, depending on the total length, on the total size of the bar, or the maximum amount of stamina you can reach. And stamina is also tied, is also increased. The maximum stamina you can have is also increased by the endurance scale. The more endurance you have, the higher the stamina you have, because endurance previously was only related to the breath of the character, how much you can run, you can do stuff, because being with no breath. Now it is also related to the stamina, so you can go without sleep for longer if you have a high endurance skill, but just partially, because the stamina is related to many other variables, many other characteristics. And yeah, there are many little improvements as well. For example, metabolism now increases a bit faster, because previously it was very hard to increase it, to improve it, to speed up the metabolism. And many other little improvements to the character body mechanics. For example, now the character is slimmer overall. If we kill this character, and create a new one, you can see that if I increase body muscle, the overall size of the belly of the body of the character doesn't increase very much like it did previously in the previous version of the game, because muscles now will not increase the body too much, just the muscles, as you can see. If I increase fat, of course, it will be very huge. Another improvement in this update is the ability to use two hands to attack with a weapon. For example, if I'm holding this branch with the right hand and attacking with the left hand with the axe, you can see that I'm still using one hand to attack. But if I drop the branch, the character will use two hands to wield, to swing the weapon. And this will deal a little bit of more damage, will increase the damage slightly if you do so. So it's better to attack if you have one free hand, the other free hand. But of course there are some weapons which are not affected by this, like when you use ranged weapon, or when you use a stone or a sharp stone to attack. There are also many improvements in the interface part of the game. Very small things, actually, not very important, but nevertheless they are important, because summed up, every little changes matters. And you can see that in the new player, in the new character menu, I've just improved the layout of the menu here. It's a little more beautiful, just a little. And I've also improved the game guide, expanded actually, not just improved, with a new section here, the world, which explains how the weather, the season work. Actually, this will be expanded in future update. This is just a placeholder. There is also a placeholder button for the map zone system, the system where you can name map zones, and some improvements to the other pages. And yeah, also other menus have been improved in this update, like the setting menu, the control menu, etc. Another important thing is that small trees can be cut down also with a big sharp stone, not just with an axe. Also, there is a difference between using big and small sharp stone or stones where doing actions like making fire, or reducing, or sharpening a stone, or every action that uses the stone or the sharp stone to perform it, like butchering a carcass with the sharps, etc., will now be influenced by the size of the tool that you're using. As you can see, there are a ton of other stuff that I can't explain in this video. These are minor things which do matter actually, but there are just too many to be explained here. There are improvements in the structures, in how you build your base, how the mechanics that involve it. There are also improvements to the objects. For example, many objects now decay much slower, especially wood, especially when you protect it inside your base, inside your shelter. Wood will be preserved for a longer time. There is also an important fix that allows wood to actually become charcoal when you put it on fire. Previously, in the previous version of the game, there was a bug that prevented it, so the wood just disappeared very soon. And also meat, fish, fruits take longer to rot, to spoil. Also, the damage the character gets from eating raw food or spoiled food is now scales with the total amount, with the amount of health it has. So the higher the health you have, the higher the damage you get. And if you are dying, if you're very close to death, you can hit spoiled food. You get damage, but the damage is not too big. The damage hit is not too big. So as a last resort, you can eat spoiled food if you're really starving. It's better to eat spoiled food than to don't eat anything. There are many other little improvements as always, and now here the biggest section after the character, the survival section, is the fixes, the bug fixes. There are just plenty of bug fixes. There are also bugs fixed that were in the game since very early versions of the game, before the early access phase, and you can read them here. So about the plans for the future, as I said, I'm not very I don't do these video devlogs very often because I'm not very good at speaking in English. I don't like it, not because I don't like English, but because I don't like to sound silly when I speak in English. But I will try to do them more often in every update, but I can't guarantee anything. I'm actually doing these them in Italian every time, from time to time. About the development itself, we are very not close to the release of the game, of the full version, of the complete version, but we are going to in the right path actually, because now there are many systems in place that can consider the game very in a good stage. We can say there is a threshold after which I consider the game very, very developed. But there are many things that are missing, like the asteroid event, the fact that the asteroid hit the Earth and the climate changes and everything in the ecosystem changes. There are many items that are missing that have to be added in the game because the full version comes out. There is actually at least one new animal that I want to include in the game that occupies a different niche, different ecological niche, and many other things, many other systems that I want to add before the release of the game. If you can spread the word about the game, because actually I'm not very apologetic about the game now because it is still in early access, so it's not very complete. I don't want many people to see it now in this current stage, but if you can just spread the word a bit, it is the right time now to start building a community around the game, and I just would like to start doing it now. So we can have a good start when the game comes out. And yeah, so that's all for now, and see you in the next devlog.